Good evening and happy Monday to you. Welcome to the opening kick, and better yet, welcome to this new world of college football. You have not been paying attention. College football is a little different than the game we kind of grew up watching. It's that, and maybe not, but parity and sanity rules the day. And me and my main man, Mr. Gerald Smoke Dixon, are here to try to figure all this shit out. How are you doing tonight, Smoke?
Listen, I'm doing so well that I have you back in the fold, man. I felt like I lost my fin and I was trying to swim last week without you. I was just floating to the bottom. But man, I stayed afloat and I wasn't sinking. Like I said, I was floating to the bottom, if you pick that up. So we made it through. But listen.
I felt lost without you.
Listen, I do believe that. I am the voice of reason, and I might have some light to me in the dark alley and get out of it. But like a wise man always told me, it's easy to get out of a dark spot. All you got to do is put one foot in the other and just keep on walking. Don't worry about 20 steps to get to one. Petty, this is what college football is. It's always been this way. It's a week-to-week business. And the best ones, just like you saw, the guy that's had a 17-year run, he told you, I always got my team to reset themselves once that game was over, 24-hour rule, and we were back at it. As long as you have an addictive personality towards winning and always pursuing excellence, you always look miserable. The people that's complacent won't like you, but you always strive for greatness. So it's a week-to-week game. I don't think nothing changes at every level. Pop Warner, grassroots, high school, college, NFL, week to week. You just got to reset yourself and build on the things that you were good with and the things that you need to work on. Just improve those, and you'll be perfectly fine.
Week to week. That's a good way to put it, because man, that is what this college football season has been, because you don't know what's coming week to week. And man, that goes all the way. Let's go back. That's a good segue into what we're going to be talking about tonight. Let's talk about week to week. Let's go back to week one, when I had a tier system where I put everybody in SEC in some kind of tier of where I thought they would end up at the end of the season. Well, we've gotten to midseason, and if you've been paying attention, that shit's all messed up. So we're gonna rehash that, talk about some teams where they're sitting now versus where we thought, or I thought they may be sitting at the beginning of the year. And then, man, I'm gonna let my man Smoke. We're gonna talk about the state of college football, the new NIL. I'm calling it the NIL era. Smoke may have a different take on it, but I'm gonna let him fix college football in that segment. The man's been speaking truth constantly, and I'm gonna let him keep doing it. So we're going to let him do it there. And look, guys, the show must go on. We got big college football games coming up this weekend, and me and my man Smoke are here to break them down. But before we do that, let's give a little shout out and love to the people that keep the lights on around here at the opening kick. And that's One Limestone Company. Have you ever dreamed of having beautiful natural stone in or around your home? Don't settle for subpar materials. Check out Limestone Company's selection of natural stone products to meet all your project needs. Limestone is located in Aniana, Alabama, and is one of the oldest, most trusted sources in the state. So contact them today. Tell them we sent you by using the promo code the Bama Standard and get 10% off your first purchase. Hey, heck of a deal on stone. But with that said, man, let's hop right into this. Let's start talking a little bit of ball. Let's talk about the madness that is college football. Better yet, let's make fun of Petty and his awesome midseason system. I don't know. We want to start at the top, the bottom, but let's see, Mortal Locks. Let's start with I've got questions, because I think, nope, that was my middle tier. That was my second to last. So you're telling me there's a chant section. I think we can mark two of these completely off. Arkansas, South Carolina, you're done. Actually, two of these in the middle are playing this weekend, and it's kind of almost a de facto. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of a winter leave town. The winter's got a good shot. People have slept on A&M after the Notre Dame loss, but they quietly put together a really good team, and they've got a pretty good schedule lineup to get into the playoff system. Absolutely missed it on that one. And LSU, again, they're on the other side of that right now. Took care of Ole Miss at home, then went on the road to a trap game at Arkansas and just kind of manhandled Arkansas. Ever since their opening week loss to USC, they kind of look like a different team. What do you think, Smoke? A&M, LSU? And I know we're going to talk about that game, so I don't know how much we want to go into this, but those teams, where are they at this point of the season?
Well, let's knock down your tier system real quick. Let's not say knock down because it makes it sound bad. Let's just go through it. So when you talk about Arkansas, A&M, LSU, and South Carolina to me, they don't have the structure. When I talk about structure, there's some tiers that you got to hit. Your personnel got to be in line, and you have to win your trenches. And when I'm evaluating a team, I look at the trenches. That's offensive line, defensive line. They got the answers in terms of defensive line. But on the other side, no. You got to now figure out your quarterback. So you got trenches, quarterback, head coach. Quarterback, they haven't figured out yet. Head coach, I'm going to say no. So keep them in that tier. Working from the bottom up, LSU, they have 2 bona fide guys at tackle, bookend guys that are going to get drafted and play in the NFL. They figured out the quarterback, and they have a head coach that adds structure, culture, and understanding and how to win. Not national championship, but he's a 10-game winner. He's been to the national championship game, and he's coaching one of the best schools in the United States at Notre Dame. So you got to bump them out. A&M, they got the offensive and defensive line. They're figuring that out. They're close. They're not there yet, but they're close. So that's giving them a chance. They got a quarterback and a half because even when their quarterback went down, they brought in the backup, and the backup came in and did exactly what a backup was supposed to do. Win the games that you're supposed to win and make sure that your team's not falling behind and either stay at the same consistent level or get better. And they've done that. So they got the trenches somewhat figured out. It's coming along and it'll be fine. The quarterback, check. Head coach, check. Bang up job hiring a guy that understands that place, understands the culture, and has structure, discipline. Arkansas, they got some of it, but they're still kind of inconsistent in the wave.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say the 2 in the middle, check. The 2 at the top and the bottom, they stay in that category. Bump the 2 up to the next category.
I agree wholeheartedly. And one thing, I don't think Brian Kelly gets credit for his in-game ability, coaching ability. Look, watching the Ole Miss game, I think it was somewhere when they started interviewing the coaches in the second half, they caught Kelly, and he got really detailed about what he was seeing on the iPad with Ole Miss's defense running their safeties and secondary high, keeping everything underneath, and how they were about to adjust. And you watched LSU then do that on the field, and Nussmeier started really moving the ball for LSU in the second half. I don't think Kelly gets near the credit for what kind of an in-game coach and how smart of a coach he is. I think a lot of people like to knock on him because he's not the most natural fit at LSU. But, man, don't sleep on the Bayou Bengals right now. I agree with you, what you say. I think both those should move up into this category where I think a few might be moving down and maybe up as well. I'll just let you read them off and do like you just did, Smoke.
I'm going to start at the bottom. We know they're – take them out.
They're in.
Yeah.
They're going up to the top.
Yeah. Ole Miss, they're in the perfect category. Oklahoma, just because of what we said, bump them down to the category that we just had in before. They're out of there. Missouri, same thing. I have questions. Tennessee, keep them in that same conversation. So you're
not ready to bump them up yet?
Absolutely not. No.
Still have questions about Nico and the offense?
No, I like Nico's skill set. The offensive line and that running game, midway through, once this competition is stiffened, they're not as good as we all thought they were. I think they're a solid team, and I think right where you have them, I got questions about their offensive line. Their defensive line, I don't. Their skilled players, I do, especially on the outside. I've seen too many balls drop, and I thought this would be a more explosive offense, not so much. So they stay in that category.
Agree. And looking at Missouri, they're a team that I feel like has been playing with fire all year. We keep waiting on them to take that next step with their offensive prowess at wide receiver. Yet every week they're in a ball game with Auburn or Vanderbilt and having to take it to the wire or come back and win at the very end. They get a chance coming to Tuscaloosa this weekend. And again, that's another one we're going to break down a little bit later to prove one more time. But they definitely, I think, still falling. I've got a lot of questions because the talent's there. We just haven't seen it on the field. Oklahoma, my question was Jackson Arnold. Much like Nico, he was very heralded coming in. If he didn't work, they weren't going to work. Well, so far that hasn't worked. They've already gone to the freshman dual threat quarterback and now back to Jackson Arnold, who I think is going to be the starter this weekend in Oxford. They just don't have it offensively right now. Ole Miss, again, got questions. If you're looking around like they were done after the LSU game, but then you turn the page 1 week and you look at the the shit show that is college football. I'm like, hey, morons, you got the talent there. If you kind of get it together, you take care of Oklahoma, you go beat Arkansas on the road. Then that Georgia game, now that they beat Texas, is your one last shot to build a resume and get hot and go. But you choke one more time against Oklahoma and come out flat, or you go up to Fayette-Nam and get popped like you usually do, it's over. And then we've got a different conversation in Oxford where I think they may become the poster child for what can really go wrong in the NIL era. So, yeah, definitely got questions. Texas missed that one. They should have been in the lot category out of the gate. Oh, and that one I'm really kind of kicking myself because schedule. If you looked at Texas's schedule and what they had coming back, they were probably the easiest in the lot category there was. So, therefore, I'm a dumbass on that one for sure.
Well, you know, Petty, you said something about Oklahoma. We'll get to the mortal locks.
No, go.
You said something about Oklahoma that I disagree with a little bit. I don't think that Jackson Arnold is the problem. I think systematically is an issue at Oklahoma right now because you just saw the offensive coordinator step down and get fired, whatever way they want. He's not there anymore.
Yeah.
So when you have a young player that's supposed to be the next coming of quarterbacks, and you let a guy out your building that could have had you in the second tier or in the conversation of where the Alabamas, the Ole Miss, the Tennessee is right now, that middle of the jumble pack that one could pop up and ascend himself into a playoff run when you let Dylan Gabriel out of your building for a younger guy that wasn't proven. And also for a new coordinator that's not proven either. Like you're losing Jeff Levy, and you're accelerating someone up to run the offense with a young guy. As the leader, that's Brett Venables. You have to really look at yourself and say, okay, are we overthinking this? Because I've always said a quarterback is worth his price in gold. And if that's whatever he wants is NIL to allow my job to be easier, that I don't have to spend hours or days in this building, allow this young group to grow up while that older veteran quarterback is setting the table, making the right plays, right reads, and getting us through tough games. The easy ones win. Tough games, battle go 50% on those, and we end up 9-3, 10-2, and that we're still in conversation of recruiting, winning, and I don't have my boss at my head. Yeah, I'm going to keep that guy in the building. I'm not going to let this young guy in as quickly as everyone wants me to do. I got to find out what he is during spring ball, what he is as an off-season workout. What is he as a leader? Because I don't have the offensive line that I want. I don't have the play quality that I feel comfortable with. So if that's not the case, I'm going to go all in on the quarterback because the quarterback can alleviate a lot of the stress that's right now there at Oklahoma.
Ooh, man, great breakdown of Oklahoma. And look, Oklahoma, I think, is a great case study, too, coming into the SEC with a tough schedule. But, I mean, a historically blue blood program that gets it done and finds a way. But right now it looks like they're swimming in some waters that – but – I know, great breakdown on that. But let's move over to my mortal locks. Both were playing in hostile environments this weekend. One folded and one flexed. And it's kind of shocking. And you called me. I'm going to give you credit here, Smoke. In the first week, you said you did not believe in Alabama. And I did based off schedule, what was returning. They still got a chance. You take care of business against Missouri this weekend. You go on the road and win in Death Valley. And then your schedule sets up to run the table and be 10-2. And I'm sorry, a 10-2 Alabama is going to be in the playoffs. Not saying they're a mortal lock, though, because after what I saw at Neyland Stadium, I don't feel real good about what Bama is going to do in Death Valley. And then you got Georgia, who, again, everybody wrote their asses off this week. And Kirby, who is a understudy in the world of rat poison, had those boys ready to eat some nails in Austin, and they did. So, mortal locks, thoughts on how this is going for the guys, Smoke?
You know, I'm a bottom to a top guy. So let's start down at Georgia and work our way up. It's not that if you want to use mortal locks for what it is, that's fine. That's Texas and Georgia in terms of what the SEC is currently.
Mm-hmm.
And Georgia is just because of their ability to handle big game situations. They've been through so many big game adjustments, big game wins, big games, that none of this is new to them. Kirby's been through this from with Nick and when he went on as a head coach. So he's battled the off-season issues, which are still rearing their head up because you don't see the talent like you did on offense. You see inconsistency in terms of discipline and play on offense and some on defense. But when you have a battle-tested staff that's been together for a long time, you have a battle-tested group that understands adversity and how to come through it, losing games to Alabama down by 28 points and not even budging. We're going to do what we do and do it well. A+. Now, Georgia on offense, still struggling. Like Carson Beck is still struggling. Offensive line is doing solid. Run game is not what it was when Georgia was peaking and being a bullies on the block and knocking people off the ball. You don't see the playmaking outside like you once did, and they've never had great playmakers, but they had guys like Ladd McConkey and my man Brock Bowers in terms of
they had a
playmakers.
chance. No, they had a chance to blow that game open early, and Beck kept turning it over.
Couldn't do it. They can't do it just because in order to blow games out, you have to have players that can take simple plays and make them great. Because Mike Bobo is a very good coach, but he's not a design for player to execute on this play. The players have to execute the plays that are called. There aren't plays that are designed to say, okay, this guy's going to be open just because of this concept, this rub concept, or I'm overloading one side with a flood. I'm going to run two guys out, and I'm going to clear out on the side, and it's going to be a guy wide open. We haven't seen that from Coach Bobo, but we've seen the ability to have a good game plan, good structure all together. So Georgia's not going to win that way. And on offense right now, they're showing you that at any point, if there's a team that can come in and just battle and make sure that their defense does not cause turnovers or offense and don't turn the ball over like Texas did, you can still stay in the game with Georgia and beat Georgia. Georgia is what Alabama was in 2019, 2021, where I saw the wheels coming off of this in terms of talent and stop piling talent. They don't have the pile of talent like they once did at Georgia to overcompensate a lot of average play calling or just average plays to make guys to make plays into great plays. Now, when you look at defense, they're getting healthy, man. Williams, 13. My goodness. He wore out that left tackle, my man Banks. Like yesterday's breakfast, today's lunch, into next week's leftover. Okay? And it's not a knock on the left tackle because he's going to be a
he's an
pro.
NFL guy. Yeah.
He's going to be a good pro. But Michael Williams, he went to town and he's getting healthy. When he double hand swapped, dipped, leaned, and burst and ran the hoop and closed on that quarterback, I don't care unless it was a Jonathan Ogden or an all-pro tackle, Trent Williams would have really contained that pass rush. And he's getting healthy. They're having the ability to rotate 6, 7, 8, 9 players. Glenn Schumann, I went back and watched it. I texted him earlier today. What a game call. He called maybe one of the best games I've seen in a long time, from structure to alignment to blitz to run blitz to pass coverage. As much as we want to say that Quinn Ewers played poorly, it would have taken a veteran quarterback in the NFL to sift through the amount of pressures, coverage adjustments, and just pre- and post-snap looks that Kirby and Glenn Schumann gave Quinn Ewers and Coach Sarkisian. Coach Sarkisian usually gets in his bag. No, they had him figured out first, second down, third down, and if he wanted some action on fourth down, they gave it to him again. It was just a bad game from Texas, good game for Georgia on defense, and at times the fighters make fights, and if you don't have a mobile quarterback to play against a Nick Saban or Kirby Smart, Glenn Schumann defense, they always try to get 3 players over 2, 4 over 3. They always want to create that extra player. And once they can take that extra player and have to put him to spy with a mobile quarterback, and that's why Jalen Milroe gave him so much trouble, and that's why mobile quarterbacks give Nick Saban that defense so much trouble, because it's built to stop pocket quarterbacks and pocket play from quarterback. If you're sitting duck, you're going to get crushed because they're going to bring the pressure at you and crush you. That's why when Arch Manning went in, gave them a chance because he can create with his legs. Now, my Bama people.
Hell of a breakdown. That's the smoke right there. Good stuff, Joe.
My Bama people. don't be pissed off at me, because all I'm gonna do is deliver the truth. The
go.
hardest thing is to be all in on a new staff when you've had the greatest run in college football history. And it's going to take time. And I don't know necessarily what this time is going to tell, other than you have a sloppy, undisciplined team that is not as talented as everybody thought in Tuscaloosa. I'm telling you right now, Nick Saban is not that dumb to leave a national championship caliber type team to go work next to Pat McAfee and ESPN, and he's doing a bang-up job. He knew exactly what he was leaving. He knew what the secondary looked like. He knew the rumblings and the disruption of what these young players are doing or think they're doing, because they believe that they have control over their own destiny and they don't need proper coaching or to be told when to do it and how to do it. That's what you're seeing in Tuscaloosa right now. You're seeing a undisciplined, sloppy bunch of young people trying to run an athletic department and a coaching staff that's showing you that they've been to the national championship. And with their system over a period of time, we'll have to just wait and see if it's going to work. It's not what we've known Alabama and Tuscaloosa and the University of Alabama to look like. It's going to be something brand new. So when it's brand new, you got to give it a chance to work. I can't say I'm a fan of it. I don't care. That's not for me to care. It's if it's winning games and the players are buying in. The players aren't buying what coach is selling right now, and you can see it. You can see the demeanor on their face. You can see the execution of the plays, and you can see the undisciplined group punching people in the face in a critical moment. From K-Law is telling you that I'm frustrated and I don't know anything else to do, and not one of those coaches over there do I respect enough not to play like this. And that's what they're showing you. Malachi showed you that. He's showing you that. O-line is showing you that. The quarterback showed you that. K-Law's probably pissed off because he's looking at a freshman that been here for a few months and he's getting 20 targets and I'm not getting anything. That
so is that staff? Is that players not buying in, or is that players already with preconceived notion? Where are we at? And look, I'm going to pull up a comment before we get, because Chris Camp threw this out and I want you to run with it. But he said this coaching staff isn't good at all, man. So, I mean, is this a coaching staff? Chicken or egg? Where we got, Smoke?
I don't think I don't think it's a chicken or the egg, because you can't have breakfast and you can't have a good meal without both. And I like eating all day. So it's not one or the other. It's that you're going from the greatest coach and run in college football history to not having a good enough game plan to defeat Vanderbilt. So if you're in that locker room, you tell me what is going to be your reaction for everyone that's putting out comments of saying Kalen's not good enough or this staff is not. It's players, they have to buy in to what the new staff's doing. I've been a part of that. It takes a period of trust and it takes time. And I'm telling you flat out, watching it on film, from the coach's copy to the game copy, it's not adding up. And the only thing that's adding up is they, as a group, whatever the leadership group is, they're not buying what they're being told, and they're not buying what they're being sold. They're out there doing their own thing in the middle of games, because you don't see any adjustment, you don't see any discipline, and when you don't see any of that in the effect of a new coach, yeah, they're going rogue. In my opinion, that's just me. And rogue is always going to show me lack of discipline and a player doing what they want to do with the disregard of understanding what the team concept is we over me. In the last minute of a game, when you know it's crucial and it's going to be fourth down, you're willing to punch someone in the face to get a 15-yard penalty, to turn this into you can't get it. You got to have a miraculous fourth and whatever play they had down against Auburn to come up with that. On top of that, if I'm in a game and it's fourth down and I have a minute or whatever they had on the clock and I have 3 timeouts, as a coach, going back to my coaching bag, and as a player, I would have looked at it this way. I always thought I was a high thinker and a deep thinker. I would want my coach to punt the ball, put defense on the field, go 3 and out, call 3 timeouts, and give us a true opportunity to now extend the game and go into our 2-minute mode. But again, when a coach does not trust a player, a quarterback, to go into 2-minute mode and win a game for us, or even tie the game, then that's when you got to say, okay, there's something missing. Player does not trust coach. Coach does not trust player. And that's where they're at right now, in my opinion, from what I'm watching on film.
That begs a huge ass question then, Smoke. How, at this juncture of the season, you're over halfway through at this point, do you fix something that's a huge fracture when you got players not trusting coaches, coaches not trusting players, players that have chips on their other agendas. They're now worried about what their pro future is, whatever their social media status. How do you fix that? Is it fixable at this juncture of the season, Smoke?
No, this is where you found out about your team. And typically this is when you know what you have. It's not during spring ball when everything's great because we haven't lost the game yet. We haven't been in a situation where everyone's backs against the wall and we're all in the same locker room. We all have to come out fighting. The hardest thing to do is to defeat the team that you're on and then go out there and defeat the team that you're playing against. And playing backwards with penalties and the sloppy play. And when you come out in 3 weeks in a row, you've seen the same team. So when you know that a coach has a handle on a team, you see a change in the way that they're playing and their attitude towards the game. Now, if you go back and you say, okay, Vanderbilt, they lost the game. Let's get over that. It's an L. What did they look like when they came out of the locker room against South Carolina? I didn't see a group that played like we're going to stomp the mud hole out of the Gamecocks. I didn't see that.
It wasn't that Bama Phi Psi chant that we saw coming out against Georgia where it gave you chills.
Sure. I didn't see that either. Georgia went out there. Georgia went out there and gave them the first quarter. I haven't seen it all year. I haven't. I said it when they beat Georgia or they held on against Georgia. I said you cannot celebrate what you will not tolerate in a loss. And they celebrated sloppy play. They celebrated the lack of attention to detail. And that went over to the next week. And then it went over to the next week. Then you went over to the Tennessee game where you saw guys smoking cigars before the game was even played. And I'm like, that's like the ultimate disrespect that you can have for your opponent of saying, I've already defeated you and we haven't even started the game yet. Now, there's a difference between confidence and arrogance. Confidence gives you the ability to go in a tough situation and irregardless of what the circumstances are, to come out and play your hardest and give yourself a chance to play and win the game. But when you're arrogant, you lose track of what you have to do from play to play and understand how tough it is to defeat your opponent. And now you've lost all concept of what it takes to win a true battle, not a layup. Layups are what it is. But this is a battle. Like, we didn't win this yet. We got to go in and win it. So when I start seeing things like that, and I'm an addict for winning, and I'm an addict for success, and I'm an addict for doing things the right way, like, I'm a grumpy winner. Like, you would winning a game and losing a game, it's hard to tell what it is with me because I want to get back that taste of winning again. So once I get over that and the horn goes off, listen, what do I have to do to get the next one? And I think that's a mindset that they had for 17 years. And when you don't have that and you got, oh, everything is great, everything is good, like now the young guys or the players start believing in it. And players rarely want hard. You have to make them want hard because hard is what you need to achieve. So, sorry I went on this long soapbox.
No, and man, there's I'm gonna usually get to the comments towards the end, and we're gonna go to the next section, which won't be as long as this one, but this one was kind of big, and it got to touch on Alabama after what's kind of been a weird damn couple of weeks. But you talk about noticing stuff, and a lot of people have noticed Milroe's demeanor on the sideline, Smoke, and I really want to get a player's perspective on this because a lot of fans make mountains out of molehills, or sometimes fans do catch shit, and they kind of caught something that you realize was real. Like, and Chief One says, why are the coaches not going to Milroe on the sidelines and talking to him about his mistakes? He's just sitting there. And I feel, again, and I want to add to that, a lot of people saw him sitting there almost by himself, dejected, not talking to other players and stuff. Is that being made too much, or do you see something within that that's deeper, Smoke?
I've always wanted to be coached hard. And when I made a mistake, and coaching right now, and even the way that they have the iPad technology on the sideline, it's almost like, it's not almost, it is cheating. Because unlike the NFL has still shots that you have to take like 4 shots and put together the play. Like in college right now, the play is actually running. And you can look at just an active play being ran. So you can see where you've missed that player or what was open or how you didn't identify the blitz. And to me, one thing that you saw with most successful staff is you're always coaching the player to be great. And great players want to be coached to be great. But when there's a disconnect, now you're looking at it and saying, do you guys have my best interest? And the coach is saying, do you have my best interest? And now those questions should have got figured out before we got on the field. Because if we're trying to figure out right now in battle, that we've already lost this battle. So when he's not getting corrected, when I don't see the headsets being put on or a coach coming over there with the iPad saying, hey, listen, next time when you check to this, here's what we're going to look at. And here goes your progression. Like, coach the young man into what you want him to be. And if you feel like you can't coach him, then what's the purpose of having him out there? Because coaches coach, players play. Players listen to coaches, and coaches give players advice and the right plays to run. And you just got to execute. And you're not seeing that. That's what I'm saying. It's sloppy. And I wouldn't say guys are checked out, because that'll be wrong. I'm not in the building, and I wouldn't want to say that about a staff that I think everyone's working to win. I just don't think it's a right winning formula that's going on right now, because it looks like it's a big disconnect between player, coach, and it's natural. Everyone's on the side saying, no, it's natural. When you go from one staff to the other, there's a trust period that's in there. And that's one of the issues with this whole new transfer portal, NIL space that we're in, is that most players that feel like they have to come back to a place, or your coach is asking you to stay and you're not staying for the right reasons, now you feel like you're doing the university or the coaching staff a favor. Well, that's not the case. If you want to be great and you want to represent your university, regardless of what it is, you go out there and you rep your teammates and your university to the highest level.
There you go, man. Smoke, you've been damn preaching. And look, I know this segment ran a little longer than I wanted to, but man,
good.
there was a lot of meat on those bones tonight. You also said something that got Mr. Carl James 2021's attention. That's interesting. And I think when it's talking about the players, now I see clearer why Primetime got rid of almost everybody when he first got there.
Listen, I was having a good conversation with one of my good buddies, and we're just talking about personnel. And here's the reason why, Carl, and a good comment, why Prime's transfer portal uses, you've seen it go into winning, unlike most programs. Like, Prime didn't come over with guys that he didn't know. He came over with his group of guys. So the first thing that you have to do is you have to instill culture. And when you're bringing in cultural guys that's setting the tone, you've already 10 steps ahead of everybody. Because the first thing that you do, you lose the locker room. And you have to win the locker room, and you can also lose the locker room. But when you have the best player, which is your son, like, those players can't talk bad about coach, because both of his sons are in there. Just understand this. This is the Bill Belichick, Bill Parcells rule. You bring in your own just to make sure that you identify who needs to go. Mm-hmm. They're not moles, they're not leeches or nothing. They're program guys, cultural guys. Travis Hunter is a program guy. You put him in there, he's one of the best players in college. They can't say, well, the secondary is not good. That secondary coach been with Prime for years. His son is in the secondary. Can't say nothing about the secondary coach. Can't say nothing about the head coach. The offensive leader is the coach's son. So whatever the message that the coach is saying is getting delivered to everybody, and everybody has to go with it. And the second that you hear someone that said they're not going with it, yeah, they're usually out because they're getting that information straight from the source. And the source is one of your captains. So for him, he can have as many transfer portal guys go in there, and he's going to find that bad seed right away because he has program guys in there, cultural guys in there, cultural guys in there.
To twist that back to the board, did he need to bring in more of his guys, or does he need to show some guys the door that may not be part of his culture and program? Does he need to kind of take a bigger stand in that regard?
Well, it's hard to go back when you haven't assessed what you needed to do from the beginning. Right. To me, whenever you hire someone, I think you have to go through the entire process of what is year one going to look like for you. And as a coach, you have to be able to forecast that. You can't come in and say, well, I got left with a 10-2 team or a Final Four team of last year, one play away from playing the national championship, and believe that's the same team that you're going to have. No, you have to come in and you have to set your culture, your standard from the beginning. And if that's taking program guys that you had at Washington to come over with you to set that standard and make sure that you get in with whoever the bell cow is, which is the quarterback of Alabama, Jalen Milroe, you have to get that in line with what you want. Automatically. That's the first thing that you have to do. You have to put a hard stance on what you want out of this. Because if you don't, what happens now is you have leaders on that team that's been there for years. They have the voice of the locker room. Yeah, you upstairs can't tell what's going on downstairs because they've already started this whole process on you. And I'm not saying that's what's going on right now, but when you do come over, I believe with this new wave of getting players in that you want, I would take some of my strongest leaders. You don't even have to be the best players, but guys that can come in, set the tone for me and what I want and the expectation year one. So year two, they understand exactly what I want to do.
There you go. There you go, man. And I think we've hammered it. Like I said, Smoke, you preached on that. I know there's a lot of people trying to ask a lot of why questions right now that don't understand after a 15-year run like that. You know, things don't last. I mean, I know things don't last forever, but I don't think people are expecting it not to last forever. And then such sudden change in the game, which is what's caused it maybe more so than anything else. And it's just wacky right now. And that leads right to my next question, because I feel like you can answer these questions because you've been around so many different type of programs, from Vanderbilt to Alabama to monster programs to the Citadel to Maryland. So you've seen kind of how the sauce is made on so many different levels, all the way up to the Buffalo Bills. But there's no doubt, man, state of college football, I'm calling it, and you can call me wrong, it's the MENIL era. Because look, it's all about what can I do to get my status or get my highlights out on social media to do this. And it seems like there's the word TEAM is lost. I know me is in it, but so is that. So who gives a shit? How in this era do coaches create culture in teams, Smoke? And who's doing it right? And because you see a lot of programs that have been really good struggle in this regard right now. Looking at you, Alabama.
And I think you got to get out of saying right or wrong, because there is about, let's say, 10 programs that can truly build the old traditional way, and they're allowed to go out and get whoever they want, when they want, and how they want to get them. But what this NIL era has done to a lot of the ADs and decision makers is they're living in a microwave society, and you have to win in 2 years. So you're putting the pressure on coaches to say, hey, listen, we got to win. And sometimes when that's the case and you're not building and you're not building a culture and you're not having the opportunities to bring in the players and the people that you want in to establish a great foundation. I use that word loosely, but you need a foundation in order to build a strong team. And that's not through NIL and the transfer portal. I'm sorry. I haven't seen it work at any level. And there's probably going to be pushback. They're going to say Colorado. But again, like I said, Colorado, that is a one-off. That's a coach's sons. that's the best player on your team that he got from going to Florida State to go to Jackson State. You got to understand what he's in. A lot of the staff members that are there as coaches, they've been with time since high school ball for years. The general manager, they've been friends for years. So there's no locker room lawyers going through there. There's no issues that you're going to find. So in the state of college football, those top 10 teams, you can really go out and recruit and build and pay the players as much as you want because there's unlimited resources that you have. That's the LSUs, the Alabamas, the Ohio States, the Oregons of the world. Those top tier teams, like, you can rinse and repeat and do the same thing that's been happening for the last 10 years in football. But the rest of us, the rest of y'all, I've always said it, you have to approach this like Moneyball, because every school does not have $20 million to have in their salary cap for NIL. So what you need to do is you need to get a strong foundation in terms of a personnel department and a true general manager. And I think the general manager title has gotten tossed around so much that everyone feels like if you have that title, that's what you are. That's not the case. I've always looked at general managers as managing your roster, managing your team. That's not recruiting your team. That's what recruiters do. You have to be able to evaluate, because if you can go out and evaluate a 2-star player, which ratings to me, I'm good on that. I pay zero attention to that. You have to understand. You have to understand talent and build. So if everything that you do, you're trying to win the signing day party, the signing day show, everything that you do is going to be classified as, I got to get the star. Stars cost money. And everybody does not have money. So you have to build your team with your 85. Build from the bottom up. So everything on the bottom is always pushing the top. The top of your roster is the easiest thing to get. The middle and the bottom is the it's the hardest thing to get right. So you have to evaluate your talent at a high level. And most guys that are considered or have the title as general managers, I don't know what school they went to learn how to evaluate or scout players. And that's not a knock on anybody, but there's an art in terms of identifying talent and knowing what you're looking at in order to develop, project, and build. It's an art, it's a skill. It's not a recruiting coordinator or a guy that can go out and sign the best player. That's just one. You're building a team. So you got to get 85 scholarship players. That's not going to cost your head coach and your university millions to fund yearly. And you have to have the understanding of, okay, I have 11 starters right now on offense, 11 on defense, and I have my backup. So I'm at between 1 to 30 players that are my top tier players. When I lose the 25 and the 10 that hits the portal, I have to have the next wave up. So I have to be able to project that to my head coach, say, hey, listen, if we lose this, and 3 players here, yeah, we have these young guys that we've developed and they're ready to go. So it's okay not to pay that guy $1.2 million to stay because he's not a quarterback. It's okay not to play the left tackle $800,000 because we have 3 young guys that we believe that can play, and we have a veteran quarterback that we are going to pay the money to that can make sure that he looks good. And we have the offensive coordinator that's not going to call a drop back game to make sure that that left tackle, that left guard, and that right guard look bad. We're going to speed everything up. We're going to play with tempo, and we're going to play with pace. We're going to get the ball out of hand, and we're going to run the ball, and we're going to try to give these guys an opportunity to be successful. So by the middle of the year, the young guys that we've assigned 20 to 25 plays to during the year have already become sophomores or juniors on the field, and they're ready to play. So if we lose that group that's in front of us next year, we still have answers to replace them the following year. So it's just not going out there and recruiting that you call yourself a general manager. It's building your team, a sustainable model over a period of time, years, and ability to operate within that salary cap that you have. Because if it's $10 million, you got to operate with that. You can't go out and start crying about, other teams that have more money than you. That's not the case. If that's the case, get out the building. Your job is to operate within what you have and build your team to the best level that you possibly build. Now, every team is not a national championship team. You might only have a team that maxed out at 8. Well, you're doing your best job of playing Moneyball, and you're doing the best job of budgeting your staff and your operation costs. You're doing a bang-up job as a general manager. So it's not, you can operate within this.
But it seems like with the transfer portal as an addition to this, it almost makes it, even for coaches that are trying to build that way, there's so much forbidden fruit out there. Like, damn it, we really need a left tackle. I know you just said paying, but there's this one guy out there. We're going to go get him. And then they don't do the appropriate background checking, and all of a sudden you got one bad apple in that group. I mean, how do coaches keep from doing? I mean, it's hard not to when you're like, I need that one guy to get this offensive line or my secondary.
I've never seen one guy other than once in a generational type talent at quarterback, a la Cam Newton, come in. What Cam Ward is doing down there in Miami to change the outlook of a program. So it's not one guy. And I think when you allow coaches to go into a room and speak to a head coach and say this one guy can really help us, that's a lie. Because what happens when that one guy gets injured? Right? It's not like we're playing badminton, or a non-contact sport. Like, this happens every day, from practice to games. They're in harm's way. So if you're telling me one guy other than the quarterback, we can protect the quarterback in practice. Quarterback don't get touched. We can protect the quarterback during the game. We can do our best job. The referees do a good job. That rules say that, and we have plan in place to protect the quarterback. That's one position that we can protect. Everybody else, no protection. So if you're not telling me it's a quarterback that can change us, don't tell me it's one player that's going to change the team. That's the worst answer and the worst conversation that we can have. I'll get up and say, Coach, there's a lot of things I like talking about, but one player ain't it.
No.
Like paying an offensive line one offensive lineman $1 million. The best left tackle, one of the best left tackles played at Texas. Both their tackles. I saw Quinn Ewers on the ground, and I saw him play fast, and he thought he was seeing 15 guys, and they have one of the better offensive lines. So that ain't the answer.
Well, then in this new structure, even if you're doing it the right way, are superpowers? It almost sounds like superpowers aren't possible anymore in this world.
1,000% it is.
It is.
If you get the right people in your building to evaluate the right talent, it's talent evaluation. There's so much good players out there in high school that aren't being properly evaluated or recruited the right way, just because there's not enough talent evaluators in college. They're recruiters. Recruiting and evaluating talent are two different things. And I think that's where, quote unquote, the superpowers are missing out. Like when Bama was rolling, they missed out on a lot of 5-stars. Yeah. It's not like every 5-star was a hit, but they had so many.
Yeah. You could
waves that it never mattered.
You have more margin to error, where you don't now. You've got to hit on everybody you're bringing in, because if they don't play, they're transferring. B, if they don't hit, you've got that one guy, you're screwed. So you're kind of putting it all with one.
Well, it's not even it's not missing on the player. It's dead money. Like that. Like a lot of people in college don't understand what dead money means. That means you are paying a player a lot of capital, and he's giving you zero production. So you're not seeing it come to fruition. It's college. The difference now between what was going on before this NIL era is guys are actually on payroll now. So now everyone's being viewed and looked at like saying, hey, you just gave that guy X amount of dollars. He's not putting forth the production, or we're not getting what we want out of him. So that's a miss.
DG brings up a great point. I was going to kind of touch on them. Ole Miss spent all that money, and they have 2 losses just like us. Ole Miss just had a player transfer, Key Lawrence from Oklahoma, 4-star kid, thought he was going to get playing time. Didn't see the field, is already redshirted after 4 games and going to transfer. They paid for that kid. That's dead money.
It's dead money.
Somebody came out of the pocket on NIL for somebody that never even saw the field. And that is going to implode the system. And moreover, DG, and me and Smoke talked about this earlier. I've talked about it with Justin. I've talked about it with several. I think Ole Miss is the poster child, like almost a volcano for the NIL going right or wrong. Ole Miss did spin. Ole Miss has never been able to spin like this because they always get thrown on probation jail because they cheat and do it dumb ways. Well, now they can do it the right way, and they've kind of stepped up to the poker table, so to speak, with LSU, right, Bama, and everybody else. They put the money to get a roster what they thought could win a title. And here's where I'm going to talk about why I think they're the poster child, why it could go really wrong. Ole Miss people aren't used to putting in that type of money to build a winner, so they're expecting an immediate return on investment. Bama fans, as much as they've experienced winning, they've also experienced losing when you've backed a program with a lot of finances and realized, well, shit, we didn't get the return. Well, they didn't just quit. You put it back in next year and you keep digging along. Auburn, LSU, Tennessee. Tennessee had 20 years of damn dormancy, and now they're back because they never quit plugging away. Ole Miss isn't that same program. This is new for them to be playing this kind of game at this level. And I'm telling you, some of you brought up they had 2 losses. They've trailed a total of 2.5 minutes this year. Those losses came on literally 2 plays. They're 2 plays from being undefeated, but hell, a lot of teams could say that. But you still got 2 losses. So your dreams of all that money was to get to the playoffs. It don't matter how you damn lost the games, you've lost them. Now those people don't see that as a return on investment. You could see Ole Miss, if they don't think this works, man, hopefully this, I'm wrong, Rebels, but it could go off the rails real quick for that program, and you won't see the money being put back into it the next year. Right. And that Ole Miss excitement and lane train goes away real damn quick if the money ain't there. So I think, DG, good point. I think Ole Miss is the poster child for how quickly this could badly go off the rails.
Right. And someone has to answer for this money being spent and who's getting it. So everyone wants to be like top end loaded. But like I just said, football is a game that you have to have players in waves.
Yeah.
You have to be able to build your middle and your back end of your roster to push everybody. The second that your star player feels like he's at the top and you can't do anything without him, yeah, you should have 1A and 1B. And 1B should be looking at over there and saying, hey, listen, only a matter of time. I'm hunting for your job. Yeah. And that's where you had that's where Georgia's at right now. Texas is going to get there. There may be a year away from that in terms of building depth. But Georgia's there. Like they put a freshman out there, KJ Bolden. You thought this guy was a 3-year starter. No, this is a true freshman out there. Shellacking, coverage, speed, explosiveness. So whoever's in front of them, they know what time it is. They've seen it in practice. You go out here and the coaches ask you to do something and you don't do it, yeah, yo, young pup, get in. An old guy, don't care what you do. Because we have 2 more young pups ready to go. So that's how you build your team. And that's not necessarily that he has to be a 5-star, because that 5-star stuff, that's somebody else telling you that 5-star. Most guys don't even evaluate that for themselves.
Nailed it. Well, Smoke, man, I think we have beat this to death tonight. Well, actually not. We could probably go on another hour, but I'm going to lose you here in about 7 minutes. And we can talk about the state of football all we want, but the reality of football is games are going to be played on Saturday. And, man, there are actually some good ones that can determine the outcome of what's to come. But even more reality is there's going to be a game in Bryant-Denny, and you are not wanting to go empty-handed. We got our boy, as always, Whitwell in the chat. Head to whitwillsports.com today and get you that title towel when you head to Bryant-Denny, and let Mizzou know that this season is not over, ladies and gentlemen. You take care of Mizzou, you go in at Baton Rouge, and you still got a lot to play for. So go to whitwillsports.com, tell them promo code STANDARD, get you a little discount. Take that title towel to Bryant-Denny and let those Mizzou Tigers know that Bama is not dead yet. With that said, man, we got some games this weekend, Smoke. Let's go through them quick. I know I got you for a few minutes, but, man, it's been upset mania. Anytime you're like, oh, well, man, this is going to be a blowout game, because you're thinking in old college football. Every team is vulnerable right now. And number 20, Illinois, and Brett Bielema, who has quietly got the lineup playing some damn good football with transfer Luke Altmaier from Ole Miss out of Starkville, Mississippi, is headed to number 1, Oregon. 2:30 CBS. They get the lovely Gary Danielson's voice. The Ducks are a damn 21.5-point favorite in this game. Does Bielema have any magic? Is there enough in that Illini tank to head to Eugene and pull off an upset, Smoke?
No, because in the trenches, Oregon got him. And Oregon has a quarterback that's a veteran, that's playing his best football. Oregon came out early on the season. Everyone expected them to hit the ground running. But again, continuity, they built that in their offensive line. And you saw them bully and beat up Ohio State in the trenches. They ran the ball at them, and they got pressure on their quarterback. So I would say that quick one for me. No. Illinois does not have enough guys in the trenches, and their quarterback is not playing at the level that Dylan Gabriel's playing at. Oregon beats them. I don't know about this 21 points, but they'll handle them pretty well.
If it was in Champaign, I feel better about it. I do think Bielema has one of those teams that can muddy up a game and keep your offense off the field. If they can get their offense rolling, I think they can muddy the waters. But, man, I think they'll keep it within the number. I don't think they have the ability to beat Oregon on the road. So, with you on that,
that's a tough travel as well, too. That's not an easy travel.
I wanted to this one really quick. I didn't have it on there. Number 12, Notre Dame is headed to number 24, Navy. You did not hear me wrong. Number 24, Navy, who's followed by number 25, Vanderbilt. I know that'll make someone we know really excited. 11 o'clock, ABC. Notre Dame's favored by 12.5 on the road. Can the midshipmen? Notre Dame's quietly sneaking back into the playoff spot. SEC fans, that's not good news for you if you're wanting to get one of those at-larges. Can the midshipmen upset the Golden Domers here?
I think they have a chance of doing it, but I mean, they play similar football. Neither one of the teams can really pass it. Both are quarterbacks and runners. So you're playing old school ball against old school ball. The class will run out on somebody. I believe it's going to run out on Navy. Notre Dame wins this game just because they have better players. Playing against Navy with the way that they run their offense is not brand new to them. They play against them every year, so they're going to come out with a game plan, rinse and repeat it. They know how to attack them. Teams like the Navy and Army, just the service academy schools, they have a better opportunity at upsetting teams that don't understand how to play against that unorthodox offense. Notre Dame's been doing it always. They go right. So
they've been playing the service academies forever. That's why they always have such a great damn record. So I do think they win it. I think the midshipmen keep it close though and scare the Golden Domers, especially
Notre Dame ain't that good enough not to get.
No, they're not good enough to. I don't think they're great. Is the deal. Yeah. This is the bigger game, but I'm gonna leave Alabama for the last for all our Bama folks that are online. But this is the game right now. Look, everybody wrote off. Speaking of Notre Dame beating A&M, everybody wrote off Connor Wagman saying he didn't have it, and quietly A&M is just 1-1. Their defense is playing good. Wagman's playing good. They're just winning steady football. And on the flip side, LSU's doing the same thing. Like I talked about earlier, took care of Ole Miss in a crazy-ass game in Baton Rouge, smacked Arkansas, and, man, they kind of got it rolling. Ags are favored by 2.5 at home in this one. Over's 53.5. How do you see this one rolling, Smoke? This is a big game for the playoff picture.
No, this is a big game, and I think LSU's battle-tested. You got to give credit when teams have been in battles and they figured out how to win. Up front, I'm going to give LSU the nod. Quarterback play, I'm going to give LSU the nod. And I think in a close game, Coach Kelly figures a way how to get a on-the-road victory and put themselves in a great conversation with them and Bama down the pipeline.
Well, that'll be coming like a week later. I believe Bama will be heading to Baton Rouge. Or is there a week off in between? I may be wrong on that, but I know that's coming up right after that. I don't know, man. I feel like LSU's been playing with fire. They won that game against Ole Miss in a game that Ole Miss pretty much controlled. But Nussmeier, to his credit, kept plugging away. And that kid's gritty, man. He makes plays. And, again, I love what Kelly's able to do with adjustments throughout the game. He is taking advantage of the iPad. Man, A&M's just playing some gritty football. I think I like A&M to find a way to win this one, man, at home. I really do. I love their defense right now. But, shit, I'm not going to be surprised. This is a coin flip. That's going to be a great game to follow up. Hopefully you Bama fans won't be as sad, but it'll be a great game to follow up. Number 21, Missouri at number 15, Bama. I'll be honest, guys, before the season, this looked like a top 10 matchup. Missouri's schedule was very much set up for them after beating Ohio State last year to make a run to the playoffs with what they've had coming back. But they've looked off all year. Had to take Vanderbilt to overtime. Was pretty much dominated by Auburn until Auburn just pulled Auburn and shit all over themselves. So, I mean, they really haven't looked good. And, I mean, we've talked about Alabama ad nauseum. You know, no need to go further into that. Does Bama get right this weekend against Mizzou, or does Mizzou find a way with those receivers to kind of exploit a exploitable secondary, Smoke?
I still don't believe in Missouri. Bama still has the best player on the field in Milroe. If they can find a way to get a couple of those ball players, like the explosive play opportunities, I still think they win. Like, they're 2 plays away from us saying they beat Tennessee, but I don't think either one of these teams are in the conversation of being playoff worthy. If they get into the playoffs, I wouldn't think neither one of these teams are national championship type squads. I think where they're ranked is exactly where they're supposed to be. I can't wait to watch this sloppy game that I'm going to watch, because it's both teams are undisciplined, and it's not a fun watch.
No,
it's not a fun watch. I love watching good, disciplined football and good coaching and good playing happening in this game. Someone's going to win, but flip a coin. Either one win. They don't move the needle in terms of having any action in what happens moving forward in college playoffs or what happens in the SEC.
Well, I called last week a pride check for Alabama, and this certainly is this is the last pride check. If you've got anything left in your jock strap, we find out this weekend, because Mizzou does have the ability, if they put it together, to pop your ass just like anybody else. But I'm with you. I think Alabama has the better athletes. I wouldn't touch the 14-point spread to save my damn life, because I don't trust Alabama enough. And I think Drinkwitz could make this game kind of ugly. But I do think Alabama gets right at home and wins this ball game, no doubt. But, man, it's hard to trust much right now, knowing what we know that's going on within that program. And, guys, there's turmoil within the program. Shit's got to get right for this team to get right. So,
good luck.
I don't know, man. We'll see. Like you said, I expect some sloppy, but I expect Bama to pull out. So, that said, Smoke, we did it again, man. It was so good, man, after the storm. Everything back normal, to be back with my guy, get this back rolling. Maybe we'll get football back rolling this weekend. Like you said, week to week. Maybe this week's a good one.
It's always a good week. I mean, listen, if Bama wins or loses, that don't affect me at all.
You're trying to get our people fired up. No, yeah,
I'm just telling you the truth. I comment on what I see, and I don't make anything up, and I'm not going to hold any punches on telling you the truth. If you don't want the truth, I don't think I'm the person you want to listen to.
I'm with you, man. We've seen titles. Married, happy, got healthy kids. Look, it's football. We'll wake up next Saturday and play this damn thing again. And if it don't go well, guess what? We'll figure it out and do it again next year. Last time I checked, they keep on playing it. With that said, do what?
The sun's going to come up.
Sun going to come up. It may come up on the east side of sorrow, but for some people, it comes up on the other side. It just depends on what color you wear that day, I guess. But, man, with that said, been another great hour with you, Smoke. As always, we'll be back next Monday. How can they follow you, Smoke? And then I'm going to tell some folks about the shows, and then we'll get out of here.
Coach GV Dixon on X and Instagram, man. I'm always going to push out some good content out there. If you want to have a good conversation, make sure that you study on what you're saying. Just don't hit me, because you're going to be wasting time.
That's right. That's right. You can catch me on Twitter at petty_Daniel. Like I said, my man Smoke's always keeping it real. Felt like he just gave a session tonight. Go back and watch it if you hadn't. Hit that like and subscribe. Crap, I meant to say it earlier. If you're on Twitter watching, come over to the Bama Standard Network. Hit that subscribe and like. We know we got some of you out there. Come over and see us. Like I said, hey, come over and so you get those reminders when we come back on, because we've got a lot of shows coming right back at you tomorrow night at 6 Central. We have the flagship, the Bama Standard. And, man, that's going to be a show that you're going to want to tune into. Going to be a little bit of heat. And we got Trent Richardson and Reggie Ragland showing up, because my man Smoke is got to disappear tomorrow night. As always, you're going to have Marvin Constant, Steve Brown, Steve Smith, and Justin's going to try to rein all those lunatics in after what has been a crazy-ass few days in Bama land. But, look, I think Reggie Ragland and Trent have some stuff they want to say. So, Bama fans, I know you love hearing your former guys talk about it, so tune in. And then an hour after that, 8 Central, the final whistle. I'll be back with my boys, Matt Caddell, Chris James, Lushawn Graves, Ty, Dan James, the star of the show, as always. And, man, we'll be breaking, hopefully turning the page to Mizzou a little bit and getting over this damn Tennessee hangover. Then after that, as always, Wednesday, 6:30, the Crimson Dynasty, C.C. Payne, JB, Dan James, again, just the damn star of the network. And then follow that up at 8:15 Central. You got Teague's take. He will be breaking down game film from Tennessee, trying to figure out what the hell's going wrong, and then looking at film from Missouri to figure out what we can do to get it right. Then, mouthful. As soon as that clock ends on Saturday, right here with you, the post-game show, I'll be there. Justin will be there. We'll be there come hell or high water. If you ain't figured it out there, we're there come rain or shine on the post game. And then Sunday night, 8 Central, talking Bama with JT, JM. God, man, I've said so much now I can't spit it all out. Stephen M. Smith and the guys, they'll be there also to talk it as it goes. But, man, like I said, full week of lineup, man. Appreciate you as always, Smoke. Guys, sun will come up tomorrow. It's football season. And see you next week.